Previously, right here.
5 facts from history to show that Jesus rose from the dead. These 5 facts are agreed on by the majority of New Testament historians, whether believing or non-believing.
So it sounds like we're talking about Gary Habermas's minimal facts argument for the resurrection.
This book,
That very soon after Jesus' death, claims began to spread that people had witnessed the resurrected Jesus. These were people who had just experienced extreme trauma. They were cognitively motivated, primed, and vulnerable, and it would not take much at all for them to interpret their experiences as experiences of the resurrected Jesus.
the implications from Dan's comments are that the sightings of the risen Jesus could be explained by stress, trauma, or hallucinations, and may not be real. Let me remind you from my last post that the 2 men on the road to Emmaus invited Jesus to their home and ate with him, and then Jesus disappeared from their sight. That is an experience that you're not going to mistake. Also, there were 2 men. If this was an hallucination, both men had the same hallucination, which disqualifies it as an hallucination. And let me remind you this point about this book. This much of it is appendix and notes. This is a scholarly book. Gary Habermas deals with the psychological issues of the sightings of Jesus after his resurrection. And a couple other instances. There's the instance with Thomas, who said, "I will not believe unless I touch him." And Jesus appeared to him and Thomas touched him. And I think the only way you can get around that is to just say the whole thing was made up, to deny the text totally, because clearly, if this happened, Jesus was risen from the dead. If you're just going to deny the text, I would recommend you look into it from this book, How We Got Our Bible from God to Us by Norm Geisler and William Nix. And then there's the time when Jesus fixed some breakfast for some of his disciples. They were out fishing and he was on the shore. They came to the shore and ate with him. They didn't ask him who he was. Of course they didn't ask. They knew who he was. They had lived with him. That's the time when Jesus asked Peter, "Do you love me?" 3 times. And 3 times Peter said, "Yeah, I do." Quite a bit of human interaction there and more than one person involved. Again, it can't be an hallucination. Either Jesus actually was raised from the dead or the account is fallacious. And again, if you want to claim that, that's a whole different discussion. Pretty hard to deny the resurrection. People who have tried to deny the resurrection in an honest, investigative way have come to the conclusion that, yeah, Jesus was raised from the dead. He really was.